excellent. Well, it's a smart place to be. Okay, we'll do it live.
The lighting seems dark and places.
Where I am?
Can you?
Or
No,
for you?
me.
No. You look great. I can see you. You look like you're on Florida. Okay, I'm here with Elke Reid, and we're gonna do it live. I didn't even and we're gonna go ahead and continue a debate that I believe we began either on Facebook, probably on Facebook, a little while ago. And Elke, you helped me to remember exactly what the nature of it was, because I'm a little. I want to pick up where we left off.
Basically, you were telling me that I need to be more open-minded with Trump supporters.
Okay, great.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll restate what I think the position I was coming from was, and then you can tell me however you feel. And this doesn't have to be like I'm not looking for this to. If I say something and you're like, oh, okay, I see your point, and we don't need to argue about it, then that could be the end of it. But if you're like, no, I disagree, then we can go back and forth on it. But like, I'm not interested in like a sensational thing. Like, we don't have to make it like
Okay.
We don't have to do that. And also for me, if I'm immediately like, oh, okay, well, I see what you meant, and that'll be the end of it.
Right.
Okay. But for me, there was well, first of all, like, this would clarify my point hugely, which is,
did you say bigly, hugely?
I just think that's so funny.
Are you triggered? Are you trying to trigger me? Is that?
Oh, no. I would not do that. No, that's probably Freudian. There's a fellow who went on Joe Rogan. And his name was Daryl Davis. I don't know if you've heard of him.
What does he do? What is he?
He's a blues musician. That's what he does by trade. But what he's known for is he's responsible for, according to him, and I mean, this has been doing it for like a couple of decades, he's responsible for talking a bunch of KKK members out of the KKK. Like, he owns.
Oh, was that Black Klansman? Is that what that was about? That movie? Or
no?
No. Okay, never mind.
It has to do with the Klan, but it's completely different. Black Klansman is a man. I think that happened in the 60s or 70s, and he was a police officer who infiltrated the KKK.
So you're talking about somebody different, a guy that talked to. Yeah,
this is a guy who exists now. He's a blues musician who plays in the South. I don't know where he's from, but he plays in the South. A black man, a big black dude, you know.
Okay, why are you emphasizing the black? Like,
because I don't want it to be like,
is he midnight black?
I would just like,
black?
It's unmistakable. Like, you would not look at him and go, oh, maybe he's, you know what I mean? He's just a black dude. Like, and a very regular dude. He's a musician, but he ended up befriending and then converting, like, I want to say dozens of Klan members throughout the last few years of his life. I think it's been at least a decade. I think he's been doing this. He's written books about it, and he went on Joe Rogan to talk about it. And to me, when I heard his story, especially on Joe Rogan, I'd heard him a couple times, like a year or so, two before that. But especially when I heard him describe his own story on Joe Rogan, it reinforced to me something that I've thought for a long, long time, which is, I don't know if I'm brave enough to talk to a Klan member or would have the self-control, but I hope that I would. And what he did was he would just talk to them and make friends with him. And of course, he would have, you know, as a man, he would expect a certain amount of respect, but they would like him for his music, and he would talk to them and befriend him and just listen to whatever they had to say, whatever it was they had to say. And he wouldn't flip out if they said something, you know, black men they're just ignorant. They're just, the brains are monkeys, or whatever it is they had. You would just listen to it and not argue. He would ask questions, but like, you know, these guys, he would go to their house and go to a barbecue, or they would, you know what I mean? And he would put himself in whatever position he had to talk to them. And he would always say his piece, but he would never put himself in a position where they were coming they were at odds.
Right.
You know what I mean? They could disagree, but he would make sure it was civil and that he was not breaking their trust as a friend.
But what I want to, how did he even get to that point where they were even willing to even talk to a black man?
I think what happened is the first story that he told us, he was just playing at a bar in the South, and it was a bar that some Klan people, and they just liked his music, and they came up to him and they made all his excuses as to why, as a black man, he was able to play that well, and he was like, okay, cool, and they, you know, they liked him, and so they would buy him a drink and talk to him, and then from there he just worked his way into it being a friendship. I don't think he had an agenda. I think it's just something that developed, and then he would realize, oh, I'm talking to Klan members, but I think that we're becoming friends, and it developed into slowly he would talk to guys, and they would end up over months or years and end up leaving KKK, you know, from talking to him. And to me, I always think about I think people always say that, like, I'm saying to be nice, which is, that's not even a term. I wouldn't even use the term. Oh.
Go ahead.
I would not even, I hate the term nice. I don't even know what it means. I feel like it's a useless term. But I do think, and you could jump in any time. I feel like I'm dominating the conversation.
No, go ahead. You're kind of giving me backstory on what you talking about.
Yeah, when Trump was elected, a big flashback hit me, which was just like me sitting in college and in New York, like, and being around people watching The Daily Show and watching, like, I've never been a fan of The Daily Show, and it's not because I don't love Jon Stewart. I think it was always because whenever I watched it, there was this culture of everybody being like, those conservatives or the people in the South, they're so dumb. We're smart. We get it, you know? And I could never be a party to that kind of energy. I do not abide by that. And like, I could feel it. I remember noticing it, like, before the election, that, like, I remember thinking, there really is no way for anybody to say, and I'm not one of these people, let's be very clear, but if somebody supports Trump, there's no way for them to say it. There's no safe place in New York, in my friend group, which is most of New York, this, like, liberal, you know, enclave, this liberal hub. There's no way for anybody to really say that safely and not be ostracized.
Right.
And so if somebody support Trump, it is pressed down in there, and, like, because somebody's gonna laugh at them, somebody's gonna Jon Stewart them, roast them, educate them, blah blah blah, and they're gonna be like, they're not gonna, and then they're gonna get in that vote, and they're gonna be like, you know what, you're right.
But honestly, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Honestly, to me, what Trump is doing is worse than what the KKK is doing, in terms of, because he's more, because a lot of KKK stuff is, you know, they're hiding it. They're hiding their faces. They don't want to know. They know what they're doing is not right, so they're hiding their faces. Trump wears no mask, so he's out there, and he's basically just out there just doing with the KKK, but out, like, more publicly. And that's why I feel like he's worse than the KKK. So in Trump supporters, it's like they're so diehard, and it's scary. That's the part. It's like, to me, I get what you're saying about educating, and hold up. Oh shit. Something in my shoe. Hold on. Down in Florida, they got way worse shit down here that crawl in your shit. I gotta watch out.
I hate Florida. I went to high school in Florida. I mean, it's just lovely people there, but I hate being in Florida. Well, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, in Florida, they don't give a fuck about no lockdown. So.
Oh shit.
I know, but anyways, where was I?
They're way worse. He's doing something way worse.
Right. So I get your point about, you know, trying to educate, and we can't be that way. We have to, you know, you're saying, you're giving that example of the blues guy that converted the KKK members, which is a beautiful thing. And the fact that they were willing to talk to a black man was beautiful, despite, you know, their convictions. Yeah. So I get that, but if I don't know, see, because they believe in you know, one thing, the whites are supreme or whatever. With Trump, he's like talking about everybody. You know what I mean? And he's like, he's getting these people to believe like that the sky is black. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like, how do you reason with people that go against basic knowledge? You know what I'm saying? At least with KK, they their shit is flawed too. But they have their beliefs, and they stick with them, and they believe a certain thing. You know what I mean? Trump says 50 million different things, and they believe all of them, even though they contradict each other. Like, I was watching, you don't like the Daily Show, but I was watching.
I had no problem with the Daily Show. It's the culture around it. That's the.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Aside from that, sorry.
Yeah.
But so a couple weeks ago, I think it was Jordan Klemper. He's I think he's a correspondent on the Daily Show. He did a segment where he went to Trump rallies, and he was questioning. He was asking, like, you know, basic questions of these people, and they were. I mean, I hate to say it, but they sounded like idiots. They sounded so stupid. And I don't know if it was just the ones he was getting, but he was getting a lot of them that looked pretty, you know, they didn't look so, because, you know, it's so easy to go for the ones that look like podunk rednecks, and you're like, oh, look at those are all, no, but he was getting all kinds. And I'm like, you're an educated person. And one guy even had a shirt that said "grab him by the pussy," and then he's like, oh, I don't want to say it in front of my daughter. His daughter was standing right next to him. He wears a shirt that says "grab him by the pussy," and he didn't want to offend his daughter. She's standing right next. He said it, and he's wearing a shirt that says it.
Yes.
Most likely they rode into the rally together. Wearing that shirt.
Yeah.
So it's like, and he didn't look, he looked like a regular dude. Like, I would talk to him, like, I'd be like, yo, he's a cool guy. But that right there, I was like, I can't. Like, I see what you, like I said, I see what you're saying, but I mean, I'm sure there's some that are willing to, because I know one person that's close to me that did, and they regret it now. They voted for Trump and regret it now. And they see the error of their ways, which, you know, I'm like, I can respect it, because, you know, I give Trump one thing. Trump is a charismatic speaker. He's there. Like, yeah. I'm watching him, and I'm like, because this motherfucker's like, he has all these asides. That's that it's like he's riffing, like he's improving his shit, which he probably is, because a lot of the shit he's saying, he repeats it more than once, but in different ways with different adjectives. You know what I'm saying? So, but he's very charismatic, and I get it. I mean, he doesn't suck me in, but I can see it. I see it. Like, I don't have to agree to understand. That's my philosophy. I understand, but I do not agree, because the shit he's saying is ridiculous. And you have to see it. I'm gonna send you the link. Because it's like 10 minutes long. It's so fascinating to watch. It was like he's asking them like these questions, and a lot of the questions he asked them was about the transcripts from the call. So they're like, okay. He's like, the transcripts. So you believe that the transcripts exonerate him? They're like, yeah. Have you got to read the transcripts? And he's like, did you read the transcripts? He's like, well, I skimmed them.
Yeah. Well,
And he asked more than one person that, and they all gave the same answer. They didn't read the shit. They glanced at it. How you gonna tell somebody to read something that you haven't read? Huh? Now that alone right there, I'm like, okay, I can't talk to you. There's no reasoning with you.
I feel what no, don't be sorry. What I've recommended many times, and I've tried, like, how do I put this? What I often prescribe and recommend and say to other people is like, I know, yeah. But the reason I say it that way is because when all that Daily Show stuff, that culture, like, to me, it just really feels like, it felt like at the time, because I feel like we're in a post Daily Show era, right? I'm talking Jon Stewart era.
Right.
Like, Daily Show's still on, but it's not the dominance. We're in a different time of the culture now. And what I hated about it was that just this assumption that I have so many things I'm trying to say, but it's just the idea that somebody has to be dumb and somebody has to be smart is not something I can deal with. I just can't deal with.
I get that. So now I understand where you're coming from.
Because that I think that mentality is poisonous. Because the thing is, if you ask somebody, are you one of the dumb ones or are you one of the smart ones? If you ask anybody that, and any political side, how many people are earnestly going to be like, you know what, I'm really not one of the smart ones. I'm really one of the dumb ones. No one will.
Because intelligence is subjective.
Yes. So that is an argument that we often use as if it's
nobody's gonna have the same scale of rating intelligence. Everybody's is gonna be different. So, for you to say, you're dumb, I think you're dumb.
Yes.
You're not dumb. I think you're dumb.
And that's totally valid. But we often come into arguments as if that is like, I'm not going to talk to dumb people. I'm not going to do this and that. But these things are just things that we've made up. There's no rubric for it. And so now that's just another wall we've painted. And also, and my other thing with it is I don't understand, especially when we're dealing with our country and what's going on. Why is that the rubric? Because I know a lot of very smart people who are very diabolical and evil and narcissistic and don't give a shit. It's not a virtue. So, like, what are we trying to appeal to anyway? It's like, if the person is going to be nefarious and they're diabolical, what does it matter how smart or dumb they are? They're not for you. You know what I mean? So it's like, we just, that whole part of the argument just creates this block that doesn't need to be there. And it's just made to make somebody. The thing is, when I think about those people and I think about, if I lived under, and I get it, it's a whole bunch of things, but I just like, if you lived under, you thought everyone in LA, Chicago, New York thought you were an idiot. And there's some part of you're watching media, you want to be a smart person, you want to be in, and there's some part of you culturally that feels like this whole segment of the culture does not fuck with me. How do I fuck with them? It makes sense to me rationally if you're already inclined to that side to go, oh, it's election day, let me go in this voting booth and hit that red button. You know what I mean? Just to say, fuck you. I didn't go to college. You know what I mean? I'm living on whatever it is. I live in this trailer park, or my my dad was a veteran and he believes in the war and whatever it is. Just to go, it's like we're giving them too many reasons to say fuck us back. We're giving them too many reasons, and that's the thing I say. Like,
hold on. When you say we, you're talking about who?
I just mean anybody who is hitting back or striking first and playing along. You're dumb. You're ignorant.
Okay, so against they being the Trump
whoever
supporters?
the other side is politically, right? Because that is a choice. Unless somebody is physically harming you or doing something to actually take something from you in the immediate, anything you're doing to obstruct or to hinder an actual conversation, it's like, let's say realistically 3% of Trump's could rethink their position. Not even change their mind, just rethink. Is 3% not worth it? Is 3% not worth it to not go, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna ask you questions and find out what your position is, and I'm not gonna try to convince you otherwise. I just want to hear, because to me, I think we would have been better off in 2016 to even have the information, but we didn't even have the information of how big it was and how much people wanted to. Like, there's people who never said a word the whole time and voted for Trump the whole time, and we didn't have the information because we were so bent on being like, they're dumb, you're deplorable, blah blah. And I feel like if we hadn't I don't know. I think there's this feeling of you're not attacking the problem if you're not doing that, and I feel completely a different way. I feel like, it's like when the problem comes up and somebody goes, "Whose fault is this?" And I'm always like, we could just solve the problem and never figure out whose fault it is. You know what I mean? Because if everybody is contrite, if everybody wishes this didn't happen, the lesson's already been learned. We just need to figure out how to make this not happen again. But if we're so like, who was this? You know what I mean? And I feel like
that's the culture that we're breeding. So, I mean, for us to get mad that it's that way is kind of, I mean, it's stupid and it's counterproductive, like you're saying. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, these people clearly have been brainwashed.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. I'm reluctant to agree because I imagine that there are probably, I have friends that I know are Trump supporters, and I imagine some of them are watching this, and I am like, I do have the reluctance of like, because when I hear that, when that is said, it feels to me, I'm very sensitive to this. It feels to me like I'm saying, well, I have the answer and they're dumb. You know what I mean? Which is how I feel. It is how I feel.
Superior.
Yes, but to my friends who are Trumps, I don't feel superior to them. They are people who own houses, have families, raise kids, or you know what I mean, help out
why?
The community.
You know why? Because we both sides feel superior. That's what it is.
We both what?
Both sides feel superior. That's the thing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I just don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to buy into that. That is not a place that I want to talk from.
Well, I mean, regardless, you don't want to, but it's a reality. You felt it. I know you have.
Oh yeah.
Everybody has. Talking to a Trump or a Trump supporter talking to a non-Trump supporter or a never Trumper. Is that what they're called?
Something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but whatever, like, they feel superior to us. So it's nobody is feeling inferior in this situation, which, I mean, is kind of a good thing, but at the same time, it's really not, because if we both have the alpha, nobody's gonna want to see.
Personally,
and that's what it's like.
I think the alpha is I personally do think the alpha is the person who isn't pressed to assert their agenda at every moment. I do feel that. To me, that is the bigger. Right. And I am not saying what I'm describing is easy. I don't even know if it is possible, but I can tell you. I can tell you this: I have Trump supporters in my life who trust me, and I have a better shot with them than another person who, in their life, thinks they're an idiot and thinks that they hate. Not only thinks they're an idiot, but thinks that they hate them.
Right, because you're when you're approaching them, they're not thinking that you're thinking they're an idiot at all. So that's one thing. That's the one of the biggest reasons why people fight, because they think that the other person is doubting their intelligence somehow. If you think about it, like, oh, you think I'm stupid? You think I'm funny? I'm Bobo. Yeah. I'm Bobo the fool.
Yeah, and I know. Yes,
don't
and
play me. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm so sensitive to that feeling. I'm maybe more than I should be, but I'm very sensitive to anybody feeling that way. I don't want it, because I'm very much. It's not even that. Whatever. To me, it's very practical. It's like it's something I kept saying in the election year, before and after. I kept saying, like, we share this country. Unless we're going somewhere, they're not going nowhere, and we're not going nowhere. And it was with Hillary and Trump. It was half. Right. So it's not half of everybody, but at least half of everybody that voted. It was half. So where half of the country is these people, I cannot go around thinking that all of those people are evil, and it's just me versus them. Like, and then we're just gonna get this. We're just gonna have this stalemate, and then I'm just gonna talk shit about them for and it's gonna get better. I can't believe that. You know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, all arguments are about misunderstandings. That you think this way, but that you're wrong. Because this is what it is. You know what I mean? And if people took the time, it's about patience as well. You know, having the patience to sit through it. Because if you don't, you're gonna just be like, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. But if you have patience, you'll be like, no, I'm right. But wait. I heard what you said. Wait, expand on that for a second. Because I think I might have seen a nugget in there that made kind of a little bit, maybe a bit tiny smidget of sense.
Right. And maybe clear up a misunderstanding for them, because they might not, it's like, you might be completely 100% right, but because you listened, one, they trust you now because you listen without judgment. Two, they might talk themselves out of what they're saying, which is least likely, but it happens. And then three, sometimes they can go, well, this is this, and you can go, actually, this is this, and it might be something they have never heard before, and that might change their mind. All these things are very unlikely if the other side is obstinate. But what makes the other side obstinate is usually if they have an axe to grind, or if they think that the person they're talking to thinks they're stupid, which is another axe that they have to grind. But if they have less reason for vengeance, then some people become, I'm not even saying you can change their mind, but they become more malleable. And I mean, I'm talking about huge, like, essential, dogmatic, religious, cultural differences that we're trying to surmount.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm talking about huge things that we're trying to surmount. These aren't like, it won't come down to one conversation, but like, you know, I will, you know, like, look at what Nelson Mandela did was not a joke or a fluke. What MLK did was not a joke or a fluke. This black dude, not even a handsome, like, charming dude, this big black dude from the South, a blues musician, talked grown men out of the KKK who have every reasons not to leave because they are probably being threatened by their former comrades.
Wait, there's no movie out this motherfucker?
I don't think there is. I'm sure there's one coming at some point someday.
It needs to be made. I never heard of him. That's something.
That's what I'm saying. The guy is a hero, and I mean, this is like, I'm so glad you like jumped up and asked to have this conversation. I mean, it's not finished, but like, because to me, I always am trying to make this point, and I rarely make it in a way. What I do a lot, and that is my mistake, is I make enemies on my own side. I do that a lot.
You've been doing it this past week.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is? I put these posts Is something going on?
I do it a lot.
Did somebody tell Ralph something he didn't like, or they hurt his feelings? God damn.
I mean, yeah, my feelings can be easily hurt.
You obviously was emotional.
I think it's because, and this is no excuse, but I think what happens is,
but an excuse is coming.
We call ourselves liberals and progressives, and so I tend to.
It's not progressive to not hear the other side.
Yes, and that's human. That's very human. But sometimes I get frustrated with that because we do call ourselves that, and so I get caught up. And I'm like, if we're saying we're better, we're supposed to be better. And this is not better. And sometimes it scares me because sometimes it feels like we're doing almost like our policies and our beliefs are very different. They're very different. But the means by which we enforce them can seem very much the same. Like we're trolling each other. We're blah, blah. Like people I agree with will do it to me. So who knows what they're doing to the other side. So... And I get all that. It's very human. Everybody's scared and very angry and very fed up. And real people's lives are probably affected, are for sure affected by this. So I get it. And I don't always go about it the right way because I make enemies of my own side, and I don't know why I have that. Why I have that in me.
It's interesting. I have that too. I call it my devil's advocate.
Yes. Yeah.
My best friend Stephanie, if she's listening, she's probably not, but if she is, she knows. I always say it. She and the other day she even pointed it out. She's like, "Don't be playing devil's advocate on this."
Right.
That shit made me laugh because I do that because I'm like, and I do that with my mother. That's why we argue. I like, she's very old school in her ways, and I'm like, well, you're being very like one-sided on judging this person. What about this? And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I was raised with that too. My parents were like that too, especially my mom, rest her soul. Like they were like that too. So I become very sensitive to like I don't. I try to be the voice that says like, listen, we have to live up to this thing we say that we are. We have to do it. It has to fall on somebody. And it's like, yeah, that may mean less work for the other side and more work for us. But I just feel like, yeah, I feel like it's a choice.
We gotta come together. We gotta come together.
And especially comedians, like, and I know part of our job is to be able to roast and talk shit. You know what I mean? But like the person I look at,
but there's a community within comedians. So yeah.
Yes. And we're our job is to be devil's advocates, to look at things from every side. You know, I mean, maybe it's a little different for improvisers, but like. And so like these days I just
look at funny in the grim.
Yes, and be able to. You have a choice, but be able to find what are the places where we're all human, where we all can laugh. Because I feel like if we're able to do that, that brings us a little bit closer together. So it's not such a gap we're trying to bridge. And
that's the perfect example of that was 9/11. Remember, like everything in New York pretty much stopped, during 9/11. I don't know. Were you in New York during 9/11?
No, I wasn't. I was in Florida. My dad was there, but okay.
I was in the service, but I heard about it in class. And
Elke, I've known you for like 13 years, 12 years. I never knew that you were in the service.
Yeah, I was in the Navy for 3 years.
Wow.
So
okay.
So I was
maybe like 10 years we've known each other. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I was on my way out, so I was glad because I did not want to be in the service during that time. Even though I love my country, I love my country. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
I'm not that person that's gonna go out there and start shooting. I don't like guns. I don't want to go out there and shoot. I wouldn't be on the front line, obviously. But I don't want to be anywhere near the action. I'm a fraidy cat. I'll admit it. But anyways, so a lot of production and everything shut down, including SNL. And remember that first episode back, was Giuliani was on there.
Oh, wow.
And then Lauren Michaels, like the whole cast was on the stage, and Lauren Michaels and Giuliani was there, and Lauren was like, is it okay to be funny now? And then he said something like, oh, why start now?
Yes. Oh, I remember that. You see,
I think I'm fucking it up.
Yes.
Is that what he said? I don't know, but it's something like that. Yeah.
And like maybe it's like I'm very clear that like my position and the way I look at the world could be, you could call it Pollyannish or naive. I think I'm sort of proud of my. What's that?
You said Pollyannish.
Yeah, I'm sort of. I hold on to my naivety, So even in these moments where like I see Giuliani, I see what he's doing. I know what side he's playing. I know what he's on, and like who even knows what he did in those 9/11 times. But like it was important, the role he played at those times, and so I often feel like the way we talk about him, I don't like that we can just pull everything good that somebody ever did off of them the moment we get mad at them.
Switch it like that.
Yes, that's never sat right with me. It's like that's a weakness we have as a human being, to not be able to see people dimensionally. And it's like, especially for the liberal side, when we're constantly talking about race and how blacks and women and minorities are not able to be seen as three-dimensional beings, I just feel like,
using Giuliani as an example is not good.
It's not helpful.
It's not not helping your point.
Yeah, it's not helping my case. It's like, he does things that are piece of shit things to do. I don't fuck with him. I would never vote for him. But you're not gonna tell me that when the city needed him, he wasn't doing at least something. You know what I mean?
He was listening to us. I'm sure he wasn't. Because the way he is with Trump now, I don't see him being that proactive and this isn't what needs to be done. I'm sure somebody told him this is what needs to be done.
Sure.
Do it. Yeah, because I don't for a fact believe that he's a good leader.
No, I'm not saying that.
Like you were saying, to your point, I will. Sorry to cut you off, but I will give him props for doing what he did during that time. Because he could have done like Trump and totally blown it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But he listened to his advisors, and he did what needed to be done, and he said what needed to be said. And people were like, okay, he's not such a piece of shit. He's all right. But he's still a piece of shit.
Can I ask you this?
What?
Do you? I often feel like maybe I feel like I've seen this a lot in my life, where because of the way I'm debating with somebody, they become more entrenched in their position, and where like if I approach them a different way, they might agree with me, or they might concede, or we might find an understanding. But it's like the heat and the way I'm attacking it, they're like, fuck you, I don't care if you are right, I'm gonna take this to the end, and you know what I mean? Because
let me ask you, can I ask you something? Do you think you have game?
Game? I don't know what that means, but I probably don't have it.
If you don't know what it means,
yeah, I don't have it.
Like like with the ladies. I know you got Anya, but did you use game together, or did she get?
It's very straightforward. I'm like I pretty much, and I think she'll tell you this, I pretty much tell you exactly what it is, and then you either go, okay, either I want this crazy person or I don't. But I don't have any. I think that, and this is what I meant the other day when I asked it on Facebook. Like, I think that everyone who meets me meets the same person. So if that is game, then I have it. But it seems to me like it's not.
No, that's not. No, because my point being, my point being, like, game, as far as if you have game, if you're smooth with your talking, like Obama, Obama got some game after game, you know what I'm saying? So that motherfucker could talk you out of your pants.
Yeah, yeah.
Male or female.
I think when I talk, people put on more pants.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's about game. If you have game, you can at least, like I said before, get your foot in the door. Hold it and didn't know it. I didn't plan that, but that was I'm giving myself props on that one.
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have game, you can get that word in there, a word in edgewise, because you know they have this wall.
Mm-hmm,
and you're trying to get in that kink. You're trying to find that little hole that's leaking. Something's leaking. All right, there it is. And then you're like, okay, I'm in there. And then you start eroding the wall, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have that, and I think part of that it might have to do with the fact that like people who are like that, I immediately distrust them. Except for even Obama. I was late with Obama. I was on Hillary for much longer than I should have been before I switched to Obama.
So you like them stiff types?
Because
Obama got game.
Yes, but I also, you know what it was? I read his memoir about his dad, and that's what changed me. No. I was hating before, and then it turned me over. But before that, I was like, this guy's too smooth. And my instinct is to distrust people who are too smooth. That's my instinct.
That's not wrong.
Which is why I don't have that quality, because I just feel, whether it's true or not, I feel like I'm lying. What's that?
No, because you distrust it in yourself, so you don't like it in other people. I get it.
Yes. It's a bias. It's not you know what I mean? It's not accurate. It's a bias. So yeah, I don't have it, and I wish I had that quality. And I admire people who have that quality, who can be peacemakers, but I don't. I wish I had it, but I'm trying to bolster it with other things. Like I'm trying to listen better. I'm trying not to be so attack so much. My big thing now is to, like, if I'm in a disagreement with somebody, try not to argue in a way where I entrench them in their own argument, and it doesn't work. And the internet makes it much worse when it's not like what we're doing now. That helps me, but when it's more remote like that, man, you know what I mean? I am.
Well, not even that. You can't tell tone from text, so you don't know how they're saying it. And you know, many sentences, or many things can be said in 100 different ways. And if you take it another way than what they meant it could start an argument in a different tangent.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes.
You go off, and then you'll argue about something entirely different. And it's like, what were we arguing about? I don't remember. Let's go back to the thread, the original.
I just wonder. And again, this may be a naive thought, but I just wonder if that is not what has happened to the country.
Yeah, we got Facebook to death.
Man. Like these days, like I watch over and over. I watch, I don't know if you've seen any of them, but Colin Quinn's, like all the specials that he's doing, the Broadway specials. He just did one called Red State, Green State, where he just basically has jokes for both sides of the country. Matter of fact, he does a bit at the end where he does a one-liner for all 50 states. He goes through every state and does a one-liner of like, this is what's wrong with this state, you know? And to me, I just look at that and I really admire that point of view, because he is committed to giving each side their day in court. He doesn't really say very often what side he's on. And that approach is not for everybody. Some people don't agree with that approach. But to me, it's like he's committed.
If you do it right. If you do it right.
I mean, yeah. To me, I mean, he's funny. That's what I get from it. But he gives it to, and I think it's what Jon Stewart aimed for. But you could start to see where he was leaning. He was on TV every day, and yeah, I mean, these are the Colin Quinn, Daryl Davis, like Nelson Mandela, Muhammad Ali, like Martin Luther King, like these are the people that I want to be like. That's, I think, why I'm starting this series, because I'm trying to get to that point, and I'm just realizing that text over the internet is not helping me. But I want to get to that point. No, it's not it's not helping. I mean, I can't say there's no benefit to it, but in these arenas, it's not the greatest. So, yeah, that's really it. I don't know if we consensus at all, but this was super helpful conversation for me, Elke, and I'm glad that you agreed to do this. I also want to maybe at a later date, but I want to have you back on for Savage Brushstroke, which I don't know if you've seen me doing
Savage
just with different
brush
artists. Savage
painting.
Brushstroke. Well,
That's
it's just
okay. The painting.
the title of the show. It's just like I talk to artists about their influences.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's what. And I had to pick one, two, one from.
yes,
Yeah, I saw that.
yes. So whenever you're ready to do that, we should do that. But I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. And this was a great conversation. So I appreciate you so much, Elke. All right, be safe. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
the best.
Like, be safe. How do you get out of there?